We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yes!
I can't even hold it. I can't even hold a sentence. We have a good load of Q&A questions today. They're all quite random and we haven't done this for a little while, so there's going to be a lot of questions. We'll see how many we can get through in 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
All right, come on, start the clock.
Before we stop it.
Ready, set, go.
Go.
All right, Oscar McClellan. Hello, follow your channel and enjoy your travels. See you seem to have good internet. Can you share what you find works best? We have a boat in Grenada and I'm looking to spend more time on her and we'll have to work. Thank you for any info you can supply.
We have a 50 gigabyte Digicel plan that you can only get in the French nations. And that is kind of only available for people who are going to be there longer than 3 months or so, or who want the plan longer than 3 months. If you're going to be sailing around the islands, you're definitely going to want the plan for that long. It's pretty much, you can pick up Digicel in all of the islands. And it's good, like 4G Digicel too.
It's fast. It's game-changingly fast. And it doesn't actually vary a lot from island to island. Like, the service seems to be... Like, for example, we're going to upload this video on that SIM card in about 2 hours.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Which has taken it from 2 days to 2 hours. So it's €55 a month.
Yep, 55
for
euros.
50 gigabytes. And that has been a game changer. Mm-hmm. We do have the... Bitstorm, the bad boy antenna.
Yep.
That's been very helpful in the yards and things like that. But we seldom break it out, mostly because the SIM card's got us covered, but also because you often need to go and get the password for said Wi-Fi on shore. It's often very spotty and it's often very crowded. So we find...
And you need to anchor very, very close to the source as well. Right now, for instance, we're in the middle of several sources of which we have the Wi-Fi passwords for, and we can't get any of them.
Because they're all... We can get on some of them, but they're just
away.
unusably slow and intermittent.
Yeah.
So, I won't say don't buy one, but don't buy one thinking it's going to solve all your problems, because it won't. When it works great.
Next question.
Yep, next question. No time for rambling.
Okay.
KD410 SE.
Have you upped your camera game? The footage in some spots is amazing. Hard to believe it came out of the Fuji or the Rebel. It definitely did not come out of the Rebel. We need to replace the camera. This is the camera right now that we're talking about.
So this one does pretty well for things like this. It drifts focus really badly when it moves, and the quality that it shoots in, particularly in low light and long shots, it's barely 1080. The Fuji was great. The Fuji was wicked, but it bit the bullet like episode 2 and has been sort of on the fritz ever since, but still usable.
Can we replay that footage?
Probably. I'll put that clip in when it died in episode 2.
So yes, we have upped our camera game. At Christmas time, when we were passing through New York, we were like, oh, should we just get a GoPro Hero 8?
Bang, this thing.
Yeah.
Camera reception.
It 100% has upped our camera game, and my preference is to actually try to film on that. However, we don't have a microphone for it. So if we're ever in the wind, if we're ever outside, it's really hard to use that one. But my God, it's just the best
clean,
ever. It's
crisp
so good.
Colours. It
so
shoots
good.
really, really well.
If I could recommend any camera out of all that we have, granted that they're not that great, definitely the GoPro 8. Definitely.
It doesn't shoot so well for long and macro shots, but for general, like running around, pointing a camera at things, it's a game changer. It's awesome.
And we often run around just pointing.
And we do often run around just pointing cameras at things.
All right.
Thank you for the question.
This is a good one. Roy Bronner. He's a patron of ours. Kiara, if you had just enough extra cash, what comfort and or fun project would you want to do on the Falcon? Adam, same question, but boat mechanical or seaworthy projects?
I'm glad you stipulated on the Falcon, because I reckon Kiara's answer might be like, buy a farm and go home.
Comfort, not a boat. All right, comfort. I was thinking about this. This was really hard. I actually looked recently into making an asymmetric spinnaker. Yeah, we do have a symmetrical spinnaker, but Adam's like, oh no, you need the pole and it's really hard.
Say
and
that.
We don't have the yeah, to be honest, his reasoning is valid of why we do not use our symmetrical spinnaker. Our pole isn't appropriate. We don't have the right thing. It's very hard to set up. But an asymmetric, that would be life-changing, right?
Maybe. I mean, we both got this bug after watching Craig launch his on Adriana in the race week before last. And it was up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was down in 2 minutes.
And the colours could be so pretty. Well, who was it? Naji, they had the unicorn one. I think we could try and do something like that.
No, I can't have a unicorn one. No.
But I would okay. So if that was too out of my reach, because granted I only have a little Singer, sewing machine, but otherwise I'd definitely just want to replace our cockpit cushions because they are just like bricks. They're just awful. You can't lie on them for any more than an hour before your bum starts to go numb. So I'd probably be up there.
They've just been beaten into submission. They're like that thick now.
They're not great. What do you
mechanical or seaworthy projects. Straight off the top of my head, self-steering comes to me. I'd fork out for the Hydrovane. Self-steering has been on my mind. It's just one of those things. When you have it, it's just everyone I know that has one just
raves about it.
And there's just the only thing chewing electricity is just the fridge. Like it's just
that's true.
Can you imagine that? Just having not having to worry about
power but then our laptops too.
Well, laptops but. Yeah, that's really been on my mind. So I think if I had the, just enough cash, I would just bite the bullet, buy the Hydrovane, and get that done. Thank you for the question, mate. Next question.
All right, next question.
4 thumbs up. How much sex is had on boats, and is the noise abatement an issue on moorings? What about movement space?
All yours, ads. All yours.
Well, the trick is... Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. I hope it wasn't painstaking detail. I think the pictures really helped.
Yeah, that's good.
Diagrams can really paint a good.
Hopefully the GoPro caught all that.
Yeah, hopefully there was no issue with all that.
So
thank you for the question.
Yeah, that's a great question, John Smith. Next question.
David
Jaff. All right. I had a question about when you went shopping for your boat. Did you literally just drive around Florida, just going to boat yards and asking if they had anything for sale? Or were you looking for boats that you found listed online for sale?
50-50.
Yeah, when we were in Australia for like a year or 2 years beforehand, the only way possible to look for boats was online on yacht sales.
Yacht World. Apollo Duck.
Boats.com maybe, but I think they had mostly everything else. So we did do a lot of that, and we put together a list of about 10 boats maybe. They were not all in Florida, but mostly in Florida that we wanted to go and visit, so that when we arrived in America, we knew exactly which ones we were going to, who to contact with the broker, etc. What we didn't realise was that because we arrived on the 1st of January, no one was open and everyone was all on Christmas holidays. And so getting in contact with these brokers and not going directly was very hard. Not many people answered. It wasn't the best time of year.
Yeah.
So then we had to resort to
driving around, knocking on marinas, just like talking to the broker's office in the office, and they'll just walk us through the yard. But quite often... the first question they'll ask you is how much you want to spend, and then you don't want to give away your full wicket because that's the price they're going to demand, and that's the last. You have no bargaining power if they know how much money you have. So you sort of have to tell them that you've got more than you do, so that you look at boats that you might actually be able to afford when you sort of lowball and meet in the middle. It's very awkward, and you usually end up looking at things that half of which you really can't afford and half of which you don't want. Then you do the same in yards. You just kind of drive through yards, and there's usually for sale signs on them, and then you have to track down who owns them and who's listing them and where they're listed and how long they've been for sale.
So you'd go to the yard office and you'd ask, whose boat is that right there? Is it for sale? So we did that on a few occasions.
We actually put an offer on a Whitby 42 in it that we just found in a yard that hadn't been there for ages. It was frozen
completely iced over.
Left. I don't know, we might have got it for a song. But anyway, it didn't happen. Maybe. We were running out of time. Yeah. We found this boat and started going through the process with her.
And we also looked in. We also went to a marina as well at one stage and looked in the classified pages as well. That was quite good as well. So I think those were 3 different ways that we managed to find our boat, pretty much.
One thing we didn't know at the time, that the man who owned this boat, who was also a broker, informed us later, is that if you can't get a hold of the broker for the boat you want, any broker can swoop in
Yeah.
and sort of make that deal happen. So don't feel that if someone won't answer their phone or reply to an email or just do business with you, that you can't have that boat.
Yeah,
You
any
can
other broker.
totally go around them and just find any broker and say, that's the boat, it's listed in wherever. Even if it's like another state, they can go up there and make it happen if
could
you
have
want
ended
to do
up
business
having
with
a-
them. So,
Could have had a very different boat if we hadn't known that
if we
one
hadn't
earlier.
known that.
All right, next
Thank
question.
you for your question.
Yes, that was a good one. Chris, okay, so this one was sent by email, and it was, have been watching some of your videos on YouTube. Good work. Can you tell me a little bit about buying your boat in the US and registering it in Australia? So that was also a follow-up question. Did you rename her along with your registration to Homeport? This is a bit of a detailed question, and I have a feeling, like, so many people have asked us this question, and I'm going to need to write, I think I might pop a blog article about it, because I've written it out in so many emails that I'll literally just copy and paste it and just pop it up online so that everyone can see it.
Same for like thoughts on the Tayana.
Yeah,
And, like,
true.
would you buy it again? Would you?
Yeah.
What, at
Tayana
least once-
review, we'll do that as
At least
well.
once a week you get a question. I'm looking at Tayana, what do you
Yeah.
think? Do I have questions?
Yeah.
And I don't mind answering them, but eventually you end up just taking sections of the
Yeah.
various emails that you've written. So I really should just make a blog post
Exactly.
and just link to that.
Anyway, registering the boat. Okay, so obviously you needed to, because it was US registered, we needed to deregister it first in US. We then needed to go and get all the paperwork, which is really, really easy to find in Australia on this website. It's something like a maritime website, and they literally list everything there for you that you need, and it is exactly in that order as well. You send them your, you fill out this document, you send them copies of your bill of sale, you get everything signed by
That's the
the
challenging
authorised person in the country that you're in. So you need somebody who's either
Justice of the peace.
a justice of the
Or,
peace, has some kind of standing in Australia, but is in America, that we kind of struggled with. So yeah, we ended up doing that, sending off the paperwork. The person that we had approved all the paperwork, sent us a letter saying, okay, cool, this is your marking number here, you need to pop this on your boat, and you need to get somebody to verify that you guys have actually done it. So we got somebody around to verify that we did it, just a friend who then signed it, posted that one back to Australia, and sweet, got the certificate in the mail, which was really good.
6 minutes, 40 seconds.
6 minutes left. Okay, cool.
So
All
the
right,
paperwork
yeah.
is easy. The process can be tedious because
Yeah.
you got to find people to tick and flick
Yeah.
your paperwork.
And obviously we couldn't leave America without that, and we ended up like 3 days beforehand finally getting our certificate. It was a very stressful time. All right, number 7 question. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, cool. Amber Moon says,
We're looking at buying the same boat, different year. We live in Tampa, and the reality is we will probably not go further than from St. Pete to the Bahamas. So basically a 6-foot draft scares me. Something my husband took great care not to mention. The husband's insisting on a blue water boat. Would you suggest your boat with the possibility of going further, but the probability of staying in that localized area? Right. So in a nutshell, would we suggest a Tayana 42, knowing that you're likely to not go much further than St. Pete's to Bahamas, maybe further?
or the equivalent Tayana 42, or the equivalent blue water boat.
Or the equivalent blue water boat.
Yeah.
I'd hate to dissuade anyone from buying a Tayana 42 because I think they're great boats, and Tayanas in general and blue water boats in general. I'm certainly an advocate of them, but
And our boat has been used for 40 years around purely just the Caribbean.
valid. Yep. And I certainly wouldn't say that a 6-foot draft precludes you from the Bahamas. Granted, we've not been through there, but we share your concern about that.
I don't want to
and
run
we're
aground
always
again.
asking people when they've been through the Bahamas with big, long keel boats. We say, how did you go? What do you draw? But basically, anytime someone says, we come from the Bahamas, we go, what's your draft? That's your first question.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we've met people with 6-7 foot draft and they've had no issues. Yes, you have to be a bit more careful and you can't have quite the brass neck that a cat might have. But I'd certainly say it wouldn't preclude you from it. And I wouldn't be adverse to going there with our 6-foot draft. However, you're going to probably... How do I answer it? I don't want to dissuade anyone from buying a blue water boat because I think they're great. But if you're confident that you're going to go from St. Pete to the Bahamas and no further, you'd probably be better served with just a coastal cruiser. Like, you'll be in a better price bracket, probably a better year. There'll be less maintenance. You'll sail a bit quicker, I reckon.
It'll be a bit newer.
It'll be a bit newer.
By a coastal cruiser, do you mean?
Well, you could get. We've seen hunters come, like well, we just went sailing in a Hunter 49. It was built like a brick shithouse.
It's like the Benny Jennies.
Yeah, Benny Jennies, Bavs, Genoas, Catalinas, Hunters. There's plenty of them around. They're probably quite cheap. They're probably quite comfortable, quite fast, easy to sail. I just feel like you'd be better served. You'd save a bunch of money, a bunch of heartache, and a bunch of time by just getting one of those and going through your process, and you'd have a great time. Whereas if you get a fixer-upper, a Blue Water, you're either going to pay a fortune because it's ready to go, or you're going to have a lot of work to do to get ready to go, which might ruin the whole experience. So my answer is, if you're confident that that's as far as you're going to go, just keep it simple. Just get what will do the job and have fun. If you really do think that maybe you might decide to push it and go further around the world and all that, then maybe consider putting in the hard yards early.
Sell that boat and get a better boat.
Or in fact, that's probably a great option, Go and cut your teeth on sailing in a cheap, happy-go-lucky, cheap and cheerful, new, comfortable coastal cruiser. Then, when you're ready to tackle the Horn, when you've decided that it's time to go back, sell it, take the long way, get a boat that you love, and go and get it done.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, I hope we covered that.
All right, we have 3 more questions left and 3 minutes. Let's do this. All right. Tom Sweeney says, thanks for going deeper. I've never sailed, but it's on my bucket list. Is there a sailing school or classes? Might have answered this a couple of times, maybe not.
Yes, there absolutely are sailing schools and classes. I don't know where you're from, Tom. You've got Royal Yachting Association, RYA. You've got American Sailing Association, ASA. They both offer extensive courses. I highly recommend just going down to a yacht club and chatting to some people. Just go and be around boats and be around sailors. It's really hard to find crew to go racing, and you will be able to dip your toe and learn a lot for free or next to free before committing to massive 7-day courses that cost thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
Which don't necessarily make you a better sailor. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you can't learn to sail in 7 days or 10.
Yeah.
And so you'll do a course and you'll walk away with your piece of paper feeling empowered. You're still going to have to go and get some runs on the board or take the giant leap of buying a boat and going out yourself. So
if you want more experience as well, then be crew on someone else's boat. Either in racing or delivering a boat. There are many, many, many ways to get some experience straight off the bat to figure out if you even like sailing before you go and get the qualifications.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yacht clubs have twilight races for that reason, because there's people that just can't get away on a Saturday morning and they want to get into sailing. So Wednesday night, you go out at twilight for a few hours
back at the table
and you go sailing. That's exactly why twilight racing exists. So I highly recommend just going down to a yacht club, asking questions, buy a few beers, have a chat to someone. Before you know it, you'll be at the masthead getting dunked in the water with the rest of us.
You'll figure out if you like sailing then. All right, next question. Camino06 says, hiya, you casually mentioned that you replaced your teak decks. How much did that cost and what was involved?
We did do the sums on what we paid. Essentially the major cost was materials and yard fees. There's no labour because we did it ourselves.
We wouldn't even need to have yard fees actually if we did it on the water as well.
And you could have done it exactly. The only reason we did it was because we were waiting for the keel to dry out. And as a point of note, if you haven't seen that particular episode, we'll put one of those little things up here somewhere.
Mainly it was blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
Don't put your finger near a grinder when it's on. This is the reason why. But at least on the other hand, literally on the other hand, this one was actually bleeding and this one was only from a multi-tool. So I now have my finger protection and my knee pads. Hopefully I shouldn't hurt as much now.
We'll check some more areas.
I can't keep going out there with a heat gun and
it's,
I
know. We just have to keep.
Later.
I know we have to keep it covered as best as we can.
I know I'm being irrationally emotional. I know. That were the main costs of this endeavour.
Yep.
We
and
borrowed
blisters.
pretty much all the tools. We borrowed someone's grinder. We borrowed some that we got to use.
Borrowed a chisel,
assembler.
knee pads.
Yeah, we borrowed someone's knee pads.
We brought our own hammer.
No, I lost that at one stage. Somebody actually lent me the hammer, lent me the chisel. Everything was borrowed. We went to a local shop, just got the local version of paint, Jotun, and just got that. And I think I'm going to put the price there too, because it was in the episode. I remember seeing the episode recently, and I was like, oh, I spent some money. So I'll pop that price in there. But like, it wasn't that expensive. We used All Grip. Don't know whether I'd use All Grip again. Maybe Kiwi Grip.
Yeah. Kiwi. Anyway, that's beside the point.
Digress. But yeah, it wasn't much at all. It was more time, blood, sweat, tears.
For context, though, I do think it's important to note, though, to do it properly, to do a full teak removal on a Tayana 42, you got to lift the toe rails, and then to lift the toe rails, you got to pull out the cabin sole to get to the bolts, the nuts rather, which could very easily take it from just blood, sweat, and tears and a couple of weeks of work to basically our interior rebuild, which is why we didn't do it that way. You can achieve 99% of the job without doing all of that. And frankly, there's been no adverse effects whatsoever doing it that way.
We're going to go outside for our next question.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We get to breathe.
Yeah, all right. Oh, it's so hot in here.
All right.
Okay.
Sailing Victus says, hi Adam, as part of your next Q&A, can you show us how you mounted your solar panels to the rail and how you prop them up? Or maybe point me to a video showing how you did it. Oh my god, this is such an easy one. Let's go out and...
Happy to oblige. It's 1,000,000 degrees in here.
So it's a pretty cheap and cheerful solution. So apologies in advance if this is disappointing to anyone. But it was one of those temporarily permanent kind of, or permanently temporary kind of things where I did it fully expecting later to have access to better materials. And it's just not failed ever since, and I've never needed to, never considered that it was going to fail. So all I've done is 7/8 stainless steel tube, nylon brackets, which basically you put an end cap on each side, and a nylon hinge that matches up the end cap, and then just use hose clamps to bracket it to the existing stanchion pole. And then using the brackets that came with the panels, just attached the clamps that slide over the 7/8 tube to the panel, and put in a support strut. Really, it's pretty rudimentary stuff. Just hose clamps, end caps, brackets. See, look, this one's even got cable ties holding it together, because when you strike it down, what you do on the good side with the screw, you unscrew it here, pop it up, and then just let the whole thing pivot, and then you lash this pole to this stanchion, and it just lies there nicely. And then if it's really blowing, you can lash the panel down to the toe rail, and it's not going anywhere. Having said that, since I put these downhaul supports on it, these panels have held up to 43 knots and not moved at all. If I was to lash down this corner as well, they would probably withstand, well, I don't know, I'm not sure when they're going to break. Downside is that they do get a lot, when the wind gets under them, this corner tends to buffet and bend a little bit, and the brackets have, bent and warped the various times before I strapped it down that they went fling and bent backwards. That's all there is to it. Really, really easy, really simple. And this has been with us now for near on 3 years and never given me a moment's pause.
You got done.
I'm not even going to talk. You're going to do all that.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and we hope that helped with a few of the questions that you might have had.
Thank you all for the questions. We know it takes time to write them and send them in. And,
absolutely.
We will endeavour to get to as many of them as possible.
If you have any questions, send them through by whatever means you fancy. And yeah, we will see you next Q&A, and we will see you next episode.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
Bye.